All right, I'd like to call the regularly scheduled meeting for the Zoning Board of Appeals on February 22nd, 2023. We'll start with roll call. I'm Steve Antonio, I'm here. Joanne Hogan, here. Larry Boardman,
Here.
Josh Mickelson,
Present.
Ram Kaza, Mark Freeman,
Here.
and that establishes a quorum. So we'll move right to the order of business. We have application. I don't have the application number in front of me. I apologize for that. But who will be presenting on behalf of the applicant?
David Keller.
All right, David, if you're ready, take it away.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for your time this evening and allowing me to present. My wife is out of state and she will not be able to present this evening, so I'll handle this by myself. I'm so, oh, there she is.
She's here.
Wow, I just sent her the link. I didn't know she'd stop in. So. Hello, Joe. This is my wife, Joe. So we live at 122 Great Pond Road. It's right on the corner of Great Pond and Laurel. We face onto Great Pond, and what we are requesting is variance to put a swimming pool into our backyard area, which is a little confined. So I don't know if we can bring up the first slide of our presentation.
Did you have it readily available or did you want me to share that?
Do you have
Because
the
you can screen
PowerPoint?
share.
Do you have the PowerPoint? Okay, how do I do that? I'm not familiar with Power. Can you come here a second? Okay, so
I think she's trying to, if I can also try.
oh, what happened to my thing?
Laura,
Hold on,
do you
I
have
gotta
it?
do-
I'm trying to pull it up now. I believe I do.
Yeah, send it into Joe.
Mhm.
Make sure it all worked. Here we go.
Here it comes.
Okay, so this is the first slide. This is our address and our request for approval for the variance to put an in-ground pool in our backyard area. Let's jump right to the second page. So the reason for our request, the interest in the property, our intention is to improve the value, appearance, and use of our property, in that we have two children that we'd like to have a little bit more opportunity for safe activities on our property, and just to really beautify and get a little bit more use out of the square footage of our backyard. The installation of the pool, the hardscape that we still need to work on, and we have an initial layout which is not set in stone by any means, is meant to blend in naturally through attractive and discreet hardscape, fencing, and landscaping. The initial sketch, which I will show you in a couple slides, we did send in with the application to give a general feel for the layout as discussed on our initial visit with a pool company and hardscape company. And then the nature of our variance application, we're requesting a variance for the installation of a 20-foot by 40-foot in-ground swimming pool with a retractable cover and fencing to meet and or exceed code in our backyard area. And I do believe we had gotten notice that pools now under new regulations have to be closed up after every use. So that's why we've already discussed with the pool company, if this does go through, that we'd have a retractable pool or pool cover. So we just had a survey done this past fall to update everything. The location of the proposed in-ground pool falls right at the tip of the arrow. And again, that falls in that area, and that's why we're drawing this into question for you guys to see, and we can deliberate about. When the pool company came out and we did a survey of the property, on the left-hand side, there's not enough area to put in a pool over there due to where our septic and the leaching fields fall. the front yard obviously is a no-go. The other area that we discussed with the pool company, and with the natural flow of waters coming from uphill up Laurel Lane, fall through the wooded area that borders both Laurel and Great Pond on the corner of our property. So in discussion with the pool manager that came out, he's the one that kind of drew up and positioned the pool where he thought it would best be located, and kind of the only place that we could do it. So if we move to the next slide. This is the hardscape, which they just drew up just upon a conversation. We didn't talk about any materials. This is just how he saw, through our discussion of how it would, generally fit into this backyard area. We'd have a retaining wall, probably no more than about 2 feet, which would fall below the grade, so would not come above where it actually is at this point. And we're just talking a simple rectangular pool. And again, the retractable cover will fit in one of the ends here. And then the adjoining cobblestone leads up to the deck, which we have here. So we have 2 sets of steps that come down off of our deck. To the left of that pool area that you see, our well falls back into that area, and the well line comes down in underneath our deck in that area. And we also have water lines and electrical lines that run from the steps that you see off the deck, which are on the more toward the bottom of your image there, which lead over to the existing shed, which is my pottery studio. So I have that. It's not hooked up inside with water, but we have an external freezeless water pipe that runs out through there, plus the electrical lines. So if we could move on to the next. So upon evaluation with the pool company, when we did do our walk around, these are the notes that they pretty much provided. So in the north and southwest areas of our lot, which is known as 122 Great Pond Road, we have the septic area, which contains the tank, and I'll show you a couple pictures in a few minutes of where they fall. The whole front yard area to the far side of our yard, across the front yard and out into the woods, are all reserved leaching areas. That part of our yard, the property narrows back to the north corner, and it doesn't allow for the proper distancing for a pool as well. And with regards to the neighboring property and the septic ground areas, it's really tight and does not allow for the measurement of the pool that we're looking at. The southwest and southeast corner of our yard, now that's the wooded area, which is right on the corner of the intersection, which abuts Laurel Lane and Great Pond Road. That is the lowest lying area of our property and the properties that are up Laurel Lane. And the flow of water that comes down naturally as a runoff come through from our neighbor's property on Laurel Lane. And I'll show you pictures of where that all comes through as well. So all that natural runoff. And then there's also one that the township has actually come onto the property and re-dredged to allow for better drainage coming over from Laurel Lane, is all included in that area. So the reason for the variance and why we're asking for the variance in this location is just not feasible to install a pool in that wooded area and on the far side of our property, just to that natural slope and runoff. We didn't want to put anything in there that would affect the natural runoff due to just the natural flow of the water, which leads across Great Pond and down into the stream. So again, that's like the only logical area that we can think of placing it. Now, if you're standing on the back of our deck in the corner, this is the proposed area, and I marked it off in yellow here of what was initially staked off by the pool company, of where it would fall. And it from the back area of our yard where the red shed is pictured here up to the left side, there is a slight incline. So the pool would actually be sort of dug into a hillside. So it would have probably about a little less than a 2-foot wall, would not come above what you see there landscape wise. So through just the hardscape, we tend to, or what we're planning on is just to have it sort of hidden down underneath, and it would just be a nice flush pool. The picture to your lower right is standing out by that shed looking back up in there to show you that incline. Okay. Now, this is the far side of our house, opposing where the pool location would potentially fall. Right at the end of the fence. So we're looking at the left picture here, the fence up toward where it connects with the house is where our septic tank falls on the right side of that fence. And then the back corner of our house to the left there is basically almost at that 40-foot line, which is where that setback falls. So having to encroach into that area, I think it's 25 feet that you'd have to come back in to install a pool back there. There just isn't enough room there. The picture on the right is basically the same area. It just shows you the two heads for the septic tank. So we can move on. Now, this is back behind my red studio. The whole area on the left side, that whole area is pretty much kind of a runoff area and is most often quite damp and wet, especially during rainstorms and wintertime. Basically, it's really hard to walk back in through there. And then the back of the house, which is on the right, that is looking right back toward the north corner of our lot. So it kind of pinpoints back in and really cuts it kind of sharp. And that's why that area of the yard wasn't really suggested by the pool company. Okay. Again, now I'm just going to show you these are kind of close-ups. The image on the left is looking directly over at the Griffin's property. And there's a line of trees that comes through there. But again, you can see on the right-hand picture, there's a little bit of shimmer there, but that's kind of a stream of water running back through there. So the image on the left, right behind that pachysandra bed, is basically where all that runoff heads down into the washout that crosses underneath Great Pond Road. Okay. And that's pretty much a walk around our property. I thank you very much.
Let me just start with, Laura, do we have a plan, like a topographical site plan? Where is your backup septic tank area? Traditionally, when you have a septic tank, you also have to designate your backup area. Is that applicable, Laura, to this? You're on mute.
There we go. I did include in the staff report the contour lines. I don't have a full T2 survey. There was a larger portion of the plan included with your packet. I can try to pull that up where it's zoomed in a little bit more. Bear with me 1 second.
I've got another screen, but for the convenience of the other commissioners, I was thinking just to show where in fact that was. Because now I can't find it. I'm on the wrong map myself. Okay, so while Laura is trying to find that, the variances, I'm sure you're well aware, you're asking for a 20-foot variance, but truly that is a result of you having 2 front yard setbacks. If you did in fact have only 1 front yard setback, you would only be asking for a variance of 5 feet. It looks to me like that could be, the pool could be moved over those 5 feet. Is there a reason in particular that you needed to be those additional 5 feet into the setback? Do you see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I see what you're talking. So move it toward where the deck is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I see you're doing hardscaping, but you know, we're talking, obviously we try not to give variances. Don't read into it, but
No, I understand.
that is where,
I understand.
you know, in a perfect world, it would be.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
I can't help but ask, why you need the walkway around it when you have a deck that could also be the buffer zone, if you will.
Again, that I don't see why it couldn't be moved back. And I'm only stating that that I don't know how else to answer that other than what they marked off in that position, whether they're saying they didn't want something where a deck actually hangs out, almost to the edge of where a pool would be. I don't know, safety wise, if that was something that they included. I don't know.
Not to say it, but your northernmost, if I'm looking at my maps correctly, your northernmost hardscape around the pool is about that dimension different. If you just move the hardscape so the wider side was closer to the woods, if you will, it would bring you those 5 feet further into compliance, which would be a easier variance for us to pass, because then we can say it's the 2 front yard setbacks that are the reason for your hardship. So I don't know if that's something you'd consider. You don't have to answer me directly. We work as a board. That's just something to get things started with. I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
Lori,
So
go ahead.
Can I just ask, does that mean that you would flip the axis of the pool and make it like the broad side would head towards the right, the long side would head towards?
Thank you. No, it would literally pull it forward towards the house. If you look at the image I'm looking at, which, hold on.
Yep.
Yeah, if you just took the whole pool and just in its entity and just pulled it straight back.
So see, oh, you can't see my cursor. If you look at the width of the hardscape that's further from the home and along the retaining wall, if that was wider and the hardscape that's along the landscape bed was more narrow, that would pull you inside of one of the two technically there's 2 variances. One is the variance for the one, say, front yard setback, and the other one is a variance from the other setback, front yard setback. So technically it's almost like 2 variances we're looking at. If we could get it down to 1, I think it would be a little easier. What are the other members of the board? Let's get some other input though, instead of just dwelling on my own input.
So I have a question. I think I'm a little confused. So we're asking for the 20-foot variance from the side yard, yes?
That is what I'm taking this as, yes.
Okay, so, but that side yard, I'm going to be a little bit of a devil's advocate here.
Okay.
That side yard doesn't really have anything to do with front yard setbacks. We're not asking for
no, not the
front yard setback because he has 2 front yards. This isn't really a case of 2 front yards. That's not the issue here.
I read the staff comment wrong.
I know, and I don't agree with the staff comments. Because we're not looking at 2 front yard setbacks that are the problem. That's always honestly a clear-cut thing. When there's 2 front yard setbacks, it's a big problem for people, and we totally understand that. But we're looking at a side yard setback that abuts a neighbor. This is not abutting the road.
Right.
Interesting. You're right. I totally.
So I don't think that the 2 front yard setbacks is an issue here at all. That's not part of this hardship.
Okay.
Yeah, you're correct, because it is just the neighbor's yard. Yes.
So that brings me back to Stephen's comments that we probably need to try to minimize the side yard setback encroachment as much as possible.
Yeah.
In order to entertain possibly passing this, because 20 feet that's a big ask.
Yeah.
And have we gotten any information from the Griffins?
Oh, okay.
Any like letters or?
No, we notified them of what we were doing, but they didn't respond with any.
I think we can certainly do that though, honey.
Yeah, we could. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because I would want to know what their thought is of having this that close to their property line. I mean, obviously you gave them a chance, but
and not opposed to still discussing
it really is helpful to us if we know that the neighbors are supportive, because this is definitely it's kind of a big ask, honestly. This is a a big variance for us.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think
You know,
Steve hit on
We're used
something.
to 1 and 2 foot variances. This is significant
Okay.
in my
I
mind.
think, Steve, you hit on something. If you were talking about rotating the pool, I don't know if this is feasible, between the deck and the shed.
Yeah, because
I don't know what the land is like there, so I can't.
well, you could theoretically do that. It's just that I have a water line and electrical lines running from the house over to that shed, and they're buried in that, right where the little steps are indicated coming off the right side of the deck as we look at
Yeah.
it here. They run a little bit further out on the, I want to say on the top side of those steps.
Yeah.
Lead straight over to the, but again, I don't know how close we can come to that. I see what you're saying about rotating it and having the skinnier end go out into that setback area.
Yeah, the side setbacks are 40 feet now?
Depends on the neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah, the zoning.
Depends
My
on the
neighborhood was
zoning. There are
25,
80,
so
so it
that's why I
depends
was
on the
curious.
neighborhood. Yeah.
Where are your filters and the electrical for the pool? You know, you brought up electrical. It might be viable to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You're going to need obviously a pool filter, possibly a pool heater, and quite often people want to have a receptacle out by their pool. Granted,
Right.
where are you planning to put electrical for that? That's obviously got to be a component of this project for you.
Okay, there is an electrical box which was installed into the shed. And when we talked with the pool company, which is Aquapool, they were talking about on that, if you look at the shed, it would be basically almost near where that setback is, but it'd be right behind the shed. Not on the wooded side, but facing the neighbor's yard there.
Griffins, man, you're gonna get them. Are you out to get them? I'm just joking. That was off the hip comment. That has no bearing.
No, we wouldn't have it in such a way that they, it would be obnoxiously.
It's okay. It's only a little filter. It's not loud. I was just being humorous, which it wasn't funny. Long story short, though, what sort of amperage are you talking about? Because your existing wires for the shed, if you were only going with illumination in that shed, you probably only got 15 or 20 amps going out there.
I have a kiln out there which fires up to 2,500 degrees.
He's got a pottery
Oh,
shed. He's
amps
got a
is that?
full,
I got a
pottery
full
shed is a
blown.
different thing. Yeah.
Yeah, but you've got your amperage is your total amperage. It's not you shut off the kiln to turn on the pool filter. It's got to be able, if you're tapping off of that shed's power supply, whatever gauge wire you run to that shed limits your total amperage. My point is you might have to rerun this electrical conduit or whatever you have buried. Anyways, to be able to facilitate the pool filter and or heater. And to be honest, if you're going to put a bubbler in it, that's additional amperage, albeit a small amount.
Okay.
And if you've already got the kiln, odds are you're probably pretty close to whatever size wire you have. Do you know if the wires run in a conduit, just out of curiosity, not to get off on a tangent?
Everything is in conduit, yes.
Okay, so that makes that much easier at least. So Ron, we haven't heard from you. What's your input on this? What are you feeling here? Ron, I don't think your mic is working. It doesn't look like you're muted, but I don't hear you.
Yeah, we can't. I can't
Yeah,
hear
I
him.
still can't hear you, Ron. So we're gonna switch over to Josh. Josh,
Okay.
what's got going on in your head?
So I'm thinking mostly about how much we can decrease the variance. I mean, in general, it looks like it's pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot of, there's nowhere else to really put it, so much as how do we fit it exactly in that area with having the minimum effect on the encroachment towards the neighbors. And I hate to say this, because I don't want to tell you guys like, hey, come back later. But maybe we should contact the pool company, see
Yeah.
how close you can move it away from that side yard,
Right,
get that, and then come back and do it
okay.
at that point. I don't want to make you guys come back later. But
Well, I
that's
mean,
where
this-
my head is
that-
right now.
I mean, that makes total sense. I mean, and again, I'm only going off of what we had as our initial meeting with the pool company. So I can see, I'm almost thinking, is there something that we can do with the existing deck that we cut it back in certain areas where it's not overhanging the pool, if that's an issue with them, and then pulling that whole pool shape back like was originally discussed to get it away from that property line as much as possible. So I could see doing that, yes.
Well, that might also give you an opportunity to double check your electrical situation.
And even if we did that, we might be able to pull something underneath our deck area, running it from the initial panel, which there'd be access from where the original panel coming in off the street.
And it would also
and-
give you a chance to talk to the Griffins and get a letter from them for us.
That
Okay.
counts a lot. I just to underscore Joanne on that one. The neighbor has made a substantial investment such as you have in your home, and you're looking to do more, which we appreciate that,
Yeah.
that effort. But we also have to respect them. And if they
Absolutely.
speak out on behalf of you, it counts for a lot for us. If they don't speak out at all, it's neutral with us. We don't hold
Well,
it.
especially if you've given them 2 chances and they don't, then we're not
Yeah.
going to worry about them too much. But if they do really want an opportunity to weigh in, I think it would be helpful to us.
Okay,
Well, if they wrote you a positive letter, it would be extremely helpful.
okay.
It's not going to make or break it. It's still the commission, works as a team. But I would encourage you, I think we are going to have to table this just in an effort of a couple of the variables. One of the other things I did want to make sure you were aware of, I'm sure you are, but I just want to reiterate, the reason you need to have that retractable cover is it's a choice of that or a fence. You
Okay.
are able to put a fence up around the pool. It does not have to be immediately around the pool. It just has to fence off that portion of your yard.
Okay,
But the retractable cover has to be put in place every time solely because you are not proposing a fence. I do need to reflect back to my initial query though, Laura. Where's the septic area? I looked through everything while we were talking. I can't find it whatsoever, and I would like to just acknowledge it before we let them go. Just it could be pertinent and it could be a nothing. But I would like to know. Are you going to hold it up to the screen? It's fine with me.
let me,
I was checking the plan set to see which one it was on. Or if it was just indicated in the application.
So what is this you're asking for, Stephen? Backup septic area? Not
Yeah,
the
we
actual
have a
tank
septic-
itself?
When you have a septic area, they feel FAIL. After X number of years, usually 30 to 40, but honestly, they almost always go further than that. So when you first put in your septic area, you have to designate a backup septic area because it's a known thing.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure we're not putting this pool where that septic area
Where the
is.
backup area
Which, to be
is.
frank, when he goes for his building permit, he's
Yeah.
gonna have to get the health department sign off.
Yeah.
And they're just gonna say no. There's no
Right.
variance for the health department.
And we're assuming that the septic tank that's there now is the original one. Yes,
I
Like
was,
they-
but I don't know.
probably from that year of a house, it probably is the original.
let me grab my,
I'm just, my house
Yeah.
is on number 2 septic tank, so you never know.
okay. Let me just grab my,
How should I interpret that, Joanne?
I've only lived here 12 years. It's not my fault.
Now, if you were to rotate that pool, so it was kind of between the deck and the shed, that would take away the problem with the variance.
Probably. Depending
If
on
it
how,
works, I mean,
depending on how
we
far
don't know
in-
what the.
well, depending on
plan
how
is.
far in they tucked it.
Right.
And depending on if there's room for it between the shed and the deck to still have the hardscape around it on the
Right.
shed side. Because you wouldn't want it to be too close to that shed.
Yeah.
That's where he does his work. He's not going to want to walk out of the shed and into the pool.
No, but as a side discussion, it does pull it forward, but it also gives you a hardscape to walk between the shed and the house. So I don't know what you have for a pathway between the two facilities, but that's a way to have a sidewalk that connects the two facilities. Just a random idea. That's, that's not a variance in that area. We don't concentrate on the area, with the exception of trying to minimize any variance that will be.
Yeah, there might be a corner that still needs a variance, but it wouldn't be very much.
Yeah, but a corner is a lot different than.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It would be a lot easier to swallow than a 20-foot.
Okay. I'm not sure, because based on the survey that we had done, I'm not sure where if there is a backup that was, that I remember being on there.
David, I thought the secondary leaching fields, as you're looking at the front of the house, the primary are in front of the house and the secondary are up to the left. But I don't know if that's the same as backup.
Let me go grab my layout here real quick.
Well, I got to be honest, it does affect us as far as where you would put the pool, but it's more for you to know, because it's going to be a hard stop at the health department. I might also add, all you have to do is stop by with them, and they're going to give you a Xerox copy of where it is. It's a known entity, and they're really helpful. They're not, I didn't mean to make it out like they're a black and white official. What we're talking about, I would like to defer to Mark. Did we really get your input? I think I might have skipped.
Well, I'm curious. What is, and I might have missed this, but what is on the right side of the shed, like that huge open space? Is that all woods?
That's all wooded area and runoff from the neighboring properties. So there's trenches that have been dug out by the township, or the town that lead. There's a drainage thing that comes through or underneath Laurel Lane, which comes diagonally through that property, which they dredge on occasion to make sure the water runoff goes through there. Okay. And then there's an existing driveway that the initial owners put in this house that run. So the driveway that you see on our property right now, that's not the original driveway, which was with the house. It went all the way over to Laurel. And if I could find my original, we got the original from the township where they had called us to see if we wanted to come nab it. So I got one more folder to look at to find where it is.
And worst case, since I think we're tabling, we can come back with it.
Yeah. Okay, so with our deed when we first moved here, okay, if I hold this up, if you're able to see this, I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. No, probably not.
Fuzzy.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of hard. So again, when you're looking at the new survey that I've submitted here, on the driveway that comes up from the street off Great Pond now, where that connects, just to the right of that, there's a driveway that goes all the way over to Laurel Lane, kind of arcs over to almost the corner of the property. I'm trying to find this. Well, the reserve area falls like way out to the front of our house, right along Great Pond, and indicates a little bit over into the wooded area, but there's nothing over there.
Yeah, as long as it's not in our area, that's totally
And
fine.
it's not in the
And
back area where
the existing septic is where, if you don't mind, while you got that out?
the existing, which shows on the map that I provided, which, when you're looking at, if we could go back to the survey,
It's off the corner of
the left,
the
the lower
left.
left corner.
Right, see septic cover?
Got it.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, great. So it's just totally out of the way.
Right, so that's not an issue where your septic is.
Okay. And the swing set and play structure that's on the aerial, that's all gone or?
That's all gone, yeah. So the images that I showed to you where we had proposed, where it was staked off and I marked it in yellow, there was sort of a sandy area and some mulched area. That's where the play set used to be,
Mhm.
in that backyard area.
Right. All right. Ram, is your audio working by chance? You want to give it a?
It's not working, I don't know.
No, actually it is, Ram. We can hear you now.
Oh, okay, okay.
Did you have any, well, the applicants are here.
Since we are tabling, I'm thinking, getting the neighbors, letter will be helpful. And also moving towards closer to the back, so that the variance will be left them from the.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds sort of like stuff we've touched on. Do you guys have any direct questions for us?
In the process of doing this, revisiting with the pool company and our neighbors directly on information that we can gather for you, how would we proceed with this? Would it be pushed till next month at this time for the next meeting?
Yeah, at this
Okay.
point, on the upside, we're making number one, so.
Okay, no, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just trying to clarify. So, okay, so,
Sometime,
guess-
it's only 4 weeks away. It's
right,
not-
right. And that's not a problem. I'm just trying to put my ducks in a row here. So I have a work list. So I guess, what I need to do is have that pool guy come out here physically and just talk to him on how our deck is constructed, how far we can come back into that. So I can't see why we can't bring it back another 10 feet.
Yeah, that'd be, at least
Logically.
half of it's in the regular.
That would be
Right.
very helpful, honestly.
Right. Okay. Right. And then I'll just give our neighbors a holler and see
Yeah.
what they are really thinking, in their head. So,
And maybe we do the go to them, but also make sure we have the alternative so they can see both.
okay.
Yep. And then for your own knowledge, you're gonna want to deal with the electrical, how big your wires are type thing.
Okay.
Just the pool guy will be able to tell you the maximum amperage, and I'm sure there's a nameplate on your kiln that's gonna tell you that, but there's
Right.
only so many amps you can put through the size wire.
It's coming into that.
And honestly, if you've got water, you mentioned water, it's nice to have a spigot near a pool. It's something you can consider when you're doing your hardscape, is to have a spigot under the diving board, which are illegal. But if you did do something like that, they're not illegal, Laura? I thought they were.
I would not want a diving board anyway.
That is building code, so I do not.
Oh, yes, fun is illegal.
There's no diving board for us. So,
All right. Well,
I do actually have one other question. You had said that we didn't request, do we need a variance to put a fence around the pool once we figured out where this pool is going to go?
only if it goes outside into your setback areas.
Okay.
So if you are getting a variance for the pool, then part of that fence would go into the setback,
okay.
Which we would need shown on the plans, to be quite frank.
Right.
Okay.
But a fence is obviously less obtrusive as a stone platform. So, I mean, we're realistic about it. We're not going to be like, oh, that's a make or break. It's truly what it does to your neighbor's property is a major component for us.
Right.
Okay.
Probably the most major component, to be quite frank.
Okay. All righty. Sounds good.
Okay, well, thank you very much. You did a
Thank
great
you.
presentation. It looked great. I'm
Yeah,
sorry we
you
couldn't
bet.
act on it
No,
tonight,
no,
but we do appreciate the professionalism. And we look forward to working with you. So hopefully
Likewise. All right.
with some of our input, we can make it quick and easy next time.
All right. Thanks. Thank you all for
Thank
your
you.
time this evening.
Very much.
Laura,
Could you
we-
just make a motion to continue the public hearing until the next regularly scheduled meeting, Mr. Chair?
Sure. I'll make a motion that we table application. Sorry, I've got too many. screens.
2301.
301.
Okay, that, I make a motion to table application 23-01, Jill Griffiths and David Keller, owners applicants for a 20-foot plus or minus foot variance until our next regularly scheduled meeting.
Very good.
Second.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank
I don't think
you.
we need to vote on it, right, Laura?
With no objection.
Does
You don't
anyone
need to vote.
Oh, okay.
All right. Well, thank you again. We've got to
Thank
move
you.
on to some regular maintenance, but we do appreciate your time and efforts, and we look forward to seeing you very
See you
soon.
in March.
Thanks. Likewise.
Thanks very
Thank
much.
you.
Bye now.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so moving along with general commission business, I don't know if anyone has done that UConn training. You did do it, Ram? I did it too as well. I'll be honest. It was there were 3 different speakers and it's still available online for free. So if you did want to do it, that would satisfy the requirement. Laura, it's 3 hours or 4 hours?
4 hours.
It's still 4 hours and it's very easy to listen to in the background. Some of it is extremely pertainable to us and some of it is slightly off topic, but even if you go to the Saturday course, it's going to be the same.
So you
there
could do
is-
it, can you do it online at your leisure?
Yeah,
You don't,
And there's no attendance.
it's asynchronous?
yeah. And it's
Okay.
also honor system.
Can you, Laura, do you
lost
think
did
someone
it.
could resend me that link? Re-email that
Absolutely.
link? Cause
Yeah.
I can do it. I just couldn't do it that Saturday that they were doing it.
No, that's the full length. That's the different one.
That-
That is the.
That's
Oh, the
CT bar.
So can you send me the Yukon stuff? And if I can do it asynchronously, that works way better for me.
You know,
Yeah,
you're
I-
always showing up with those big words, Miss Teacher.
I know, I'm such a techie art teacher type, you know?
I
We
got a
are big
package
words
in
We're
the
super
mail.
techie.
I got a package in the mail from the CT bar. They sent me a 500-page packet.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
that.
Yeah, well, mine's got 507 pages.
Oh,
No,
yeah, wow.
550. Josh.
550, yeah.
All right, I appreciate if you can resend that link for that and I'll take care of that over the next couple weeks.
Josh, if you're doing the the Connecticut Bar one, I would give you a big hint that there is an itinerary, and just
Yeah.
like the Yukon one, there's stuff that's extremely pertinent, and it's titled Zoning Board of Appeals.
Yeah, yeah.
You want to
I
make
thought-
sure you're there.
I
for
saw
that.
it was like an 8-hour thing and we need 4 hours of it.
Yeah, so pick and
So
choose,
Pick and
yeah.
choose.
Yeah, you can come and go all day and just leave it running in the background, even while you're doing your needlepoint or whatever you do. Ram, you were raising your hand. What's up?
Did we get the Zoom link for March 11th Saturday?
I'm so sorry, I didn't understand.
Did we get the Zoom link?
The Zoom link for the
March
Connecticut
11th.
Bar thing?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Oh.
But you should have gotten the packet in the mail. Did you
Yes,
get
I
the
did.
big thick book? Yeah, so they'll send it out closer, so you don't have to bookmark it. Mark and Larry, are you guys all set with your 4 hours of training?
No,
Yeah, I haven't done it yet, but I got the packet, so.
No worries, I'm not your dad.
I never got the packet.
It's all good.
Yeah,
It's-
I just got the packet today, so I wouldn't worry too much as long as it shows up in the next couple days.
Yeah. And I think we've got to, Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, we've got till the end of the year to do this, right?
Correct.
So there's no urgency, really. And Joanne and I are even up for election prior to that,
Yeah.
so who knows?
Same here.
All right.
Might be moot for us. Who knows if people don't like us
Exactly.
well enough.
Um, Is there any other general commission business or questions?
I think just the minutes, right?
Right, so we'll move along to approval of the minutes of the January 25th meeting. Does anyone have any input, corrections, or comments?
Looked okay to me. I didn't read it, like super slowly, but I did read it and it looked okay.
You got the gist of it.
I
That's
got the gist.
where I'm at. Would you like to make a motion perhaps in light of that?
I can make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 25th meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals, regular meeting minutes.
Who wants to second?
I'll second.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone abstaining? Mark is abstaining, and that accounts for all of us. All right, last call before adjournment. Anyone?
Mm.
Who wants to make that motion then?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting on February 22nd, 2023.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right.
It's unanimous. All right, good night, guys. Thank you for
See you
your
next
time.
month for the same
Yeah.
thing.